Good morning. It is Thursday, the 7th of November, 2019. Bitcoin bears are in control, and the MACD and the Bollinger Bands are giving opposing trading signals. So the Bitcoin has turned bearish on all the MACD timeframes, but the Bollinger Bands may be providing a contrarian trade signals that bulls really want. There is a hidden divergence in the RSI that I want to see. Does this have the strength to hold prices where they are? I want to also take a look at why has Bitcoin dominance been rising as Bitcoin prices have dropped overnight, and what does that mean for the alts? All of that in today's episode of the 24 Hours of Bitcoin. Now, of course, this isn't trading advice. This is just market observation. You can pause the video here to read through the disclaimer. The live stream here is based on a trading plan that you can go to the website intro-to-cryptos.ca and you can get this trading plan for free. Get the free webinar and additional bonus training. It's a great starting point if you are new to technical analysis or if you've been struggling and you want to put a plan into action. So let's jump into it now. We can see that just recently on this 10-second chart that we had a big bunch of selling go on here. Really, as this cascaded down, we had a whole bunch of liquidated longs coming through here. And I want to go to the next chart to point out that this is the number of longs and this is the price of Bitcoin. This is the number of shorts and this is the price of Bitcoin. So I line them up here so that the dates are pretty much the same. And we can see here that as we had the big run up here on October the 25th, longs actually came down. And as we were watching the last few days and prices going along here, we can see that the longs built up and then the longs came all the way back down here. It's like, I don't know, greed and fear on social media. I don't know. But as we were coming down to these lows, everybody was panicking and getting out of their longs. Then all of a sudden the longs have gone way, way up and we're down to similar prices, which gives me the impression that if there is manipulation in the market, this would be a great time to be selling down, hit those stops, crash it down to the $8,300 level, soak up everything that's been falling down, and then blast off from there up to the big highs. Just because of the number of longs set up here. Either that or all of these people are right and we are going to be blasting off. So let's dig into these indicators because they should give us inside view now of what is going on inside this 1, 2, 3 formation that's set up here. We have 1, 2, 3 top formation here down to another top formation that we are just edging below. So with all of this, we should see divergences in our indicators. We should see crossovers in our indicators. And that's what we'll look at in today's episode. Let's jump in. Good morning, Mr. Addy Cool. Good to have you along from England. Mick, good to have you along. An awesome regular in our Discord chat. Really appreciate having you there. You've got an insight into these things that has helped me shape what I'm doing as well. So really grateful to have everybody along. And those of you who are watching, I hope this is helpful for you as well. We're looking at the weekly relative strength index, and this last candle is getting more important. Let me zoom into just this and take a look at it, because this last candle, if I circle it roughly, this is going to change for the next few days through Friday, Saturday, Sunday until this candle closes. And if it is angling downward, that's bearish. If it holds its bladder and is angling upward, that could be bullish. So the angle of this is important. And as we zoom in now, we're going to be taking a look at the other time frames to see what's going on with that candle specifically. Overall, we're still in the upward trend, and it could snap back to the, to the $8,000 level, and it wouldn't affect the uptrend. Just a lot of traders. So here we are. This is really key. As we're zooming in on this now, the last few days we've been watching for a break of this line. Either way. One way or the other, it's telling us something. This is telling me bearish right now on this time frame. But as we get in closer, there is a hidden bullish divergence, and this isn't it yet. So that is really pushing the edge. And that's what technical analysis, prices always go right to the edge, right? That they always do. They always push it right to as far as they can. So now when we get into the 1 hour time frame, let's do it, 1 hour time frame, here's where I was earlier seeing a hidden bullish divergence. And I looked at it and I said, I've got to put that into live stream because here's that hidden bullish divergence, and I'm struggling to see it now. Maybe what I was seeing is that the prices were at this. No, I'm not seeing hidden bullish divergence here. So a hidden bullish divergence should be prices coming down to a double level where the indicator is not. It's coming to a higher level. Now that's a real divergence. It's not giving me anything I can sink my teeth into right now for a divergence on this time frame, except that as I get down to this, it's very, very oversold. Could be a lot more. It's not that extreme yet, so it doesn't hold the water I was looking for. Let's go into the 3-day view. So, okay, nice and oversold there and bouncing up a little bit. If we zoom in, this was nice and oversold and bounced up quite a bit. But now that if it doesn't break above these levels and we screw around down here more, that is continuation of this pissing off the roof formation. So that's not giving any not giving any bullishness right now. This little bounce is nice, but that doesn't constitute bullishness yet. It's got to now create some structure like this and get up above itself and retest it. Now that it's come back to these levels, it's got to build a whole new set of structure. It's good. I got to zoom out because I was certain I was seeing a good divergence in there, and I'm not seeing it set up now. Let's zoom in. Michael Watson, good to have you along. I like that icon. Blessed morning, everyone from United Kingdom. Stephen, good to have you along. Thanks for joining. Now, sell the corn, no volume. So here is the on balance volume. Speaking of volume, we did come to negative on balance. We were into selling going on here overall on the weekly view. When we zoom into the daily view, it's still holding itself okay, right? Even though we have that selling going on. I want to pull this back. So even though we had periods of selling that looked pretty darn bad along these times, this time frame, the 1 day, didn't go to negative. So I just gotta observe that, and I really want to see if we get into another zipper too. Let's go back. I'll zoom to the 1 day view. So here we're doing not too bad, right? We're staying above those volume levels so far. Let's zoom in. Okay, we're still holding on the 12-hour time frame. That's pretty good. I got to zoom back, of course, because I want to see that in the past, the 12-hour actually dipped and actually dipped and actually dipped, and we were still on the uptrend. It was okay. So that's not too bad yet. Let's go in a little closer. So we're on the 4-hour time frame. This is where we're starting to get a little negative, but we've done that before. So this isn't really getting me too panicked yet, though it is certainly the first stages of going down from here. Let's go into the 1-hour time frame and see how bad this dumping was compared to some of the selling we had earlier. Yeah, okay. All the way along here, that was pretty good, but not the worst that we've seen. So let's zoom in closer. That's the 1 hour. Let's go to the 15-minute time frame to get the nature of this dumping here. Well, it's pretty significant, actually. It's as significant as we saw here. Back here, we had these dumps and it pulled back up, but these are lower lows, so I'm not as happy with that. Zoom in on this, we can see that there's dumping and then a little bit of buying volume. And if I squeeze right into the 1 minute view, we can see that this was a pretty good series of dumping, and then it's eased off a little bit, still perfectly conforming to the pissing off the roof formation though. These lower lows that it's come up underneath and failed back is bearish. Those are really important technical levels just for the 1, 2, 3s. Never mind the on-balance volume underneath. Let's zoom in now to this, the MACD, because we'll go through the MACD, and then I'll go to the Bollinger Bands, and we'll see where these are contrarian to each other. Here on the weekly, of course, the MACD is crossed to the negative. This is bearish. And it crossed to the negative halfway through this 1, 2, 3 top formation. Really. A long time ago we had this notification. done. We just have to pay attention to it and sit still a lot. That's the hard part. Now the daily has been pulling itself up, looking like it's going to cross to the positive, but we are right on the edge now of this crossing to the negative. It's the only thing pretty much that is not crossed to the negative. So let's go into the 12-hour time frame and see what's going on there. This crossed to the negative in the middle of this 1, 2, 3 top formation. Kind of like what the what was that? The weekly did in the bigger 1, 2, 3 top formation. So another thing that's concerning to me for the bullish, against the bulls, is that this is flaring wider in this last candle here. So this last histogram is bigger and it's increasing the speed here. It's increasing the downward momentum. So let's continue on and zoom in to the 4-hour time frame. This one has also crossed, and this was a favorite of mine throughout the week. Last week I was saying, oh, when this crosses to the positive, we're going to light up. This is ignition sequence. Not so much. As soon as this crossed back to the negative, launch is aborted for now. And as we're seeing this accelerating and these histograms getting longer, that is more bearish as we go from minute to minute on this, as we go from bar to bar. So let's zoom in, because is this going to hold itself on the 1-hour time frame? We can see that it's still looking like it's accelerating. These histograms have not started to shorten to show me that it's accelerating and losing its steam downward. When we get into the 15-minute time frame, we can see that this is the first time that the histograms are losing some steam. So they were negative, and this is the first bit that they're holding themselves. If this crosses to the positive, we do have 2 higher crosses to the positive. Let's go see where that is in the charts. Pretty much where I was looking for that hidden bullish divergence in the RSI, actually. So maybe I was just in the wrong time frame, because this is a bit of a bullish divergence, especially if this crosses. Now, is the 15-minute enough to hold up the entire market? Usually not. But if it does turn around, it always starts out on the smaller time frames, and then it expands out into the larger time frames. So here we are. It crossed to the positive on the 5-minute time frame, and I don't do this normally, but here in the 1-minute time frame, I wanted to see if this was crossing to the positive and holding itself positive. But now we have a bear flag setting up in this as we're going along, and that it is below these 1, 2, 3s and coming up to test it and failing it is a bearish signal for me. And I want to track it. I want to document it. I want to study the case studies for all future trading. When we go into the Ichimoku cloud, yesterday I was talking about the blue line expanding away from the red line, further away. That's more bearish. And as we go into the 1-day view, this is giving us some bullish setups here. We have a few different bullish scenarios still, and it'll probably stay bullish even if we come down to the $8,500 level here inside this cloud. But this is positive. The blue line is above the red, which is positive. All we need is this to stitch itself up above the cloud a little bit, and that would be good. It's not there yet. On the 12-hour time frame, this is still bullish. This is still bullish, but the blue and the red coming to cross would be bearish as we are setting up out of this. Other than that, these two are still okay for bulls who have a little bit of room in their trading and they're not over leveraged. But if we go into the 4-hour time frame, this is the first bit of crossing to the negative here, that blue below the red. Still positive here. This is indecisive. I don't know. If it breaks below and is poking below the cloud and this twists negative, that's all sell, sell, sell. And it'll confirm with what the MACD is saying. But we're just about to get into the Bollinger Bands, which gives a bit of a different signal. And it has the last few days throughout this, as we've been tracking this, as we've been tracking this. Now as we're tracking this, this was bearish on everything except the Bollinger Bands. Bearish on everything we've seen here today. Let's jump into the Bollinger Bands in a second and see what they say. I want to go into the 15-minute time frame, still bearish. 5-minute time frame, still bearish. We are still below the cloud in a downtrend here in this indicator. Now we go into the Bollinger Bands, which is my new toy, and it's bouncing off the midline for the weekly view, which isn't so good for the bulls. If it's bouncing underneath the weekly line, we've got some more work to do. We're going to gather up before we're really poking up and starting the real uptrend. So it has, according to the weekly Bollinger Bands, we're not there yet. And we've had these exhaustion wick candles too that give me the bull willies. Now, on the 1 day view, I've been asking for a few days and looking back through the charts to see where did we have it come up, blast against the top, and come into a formation like this, that we have these wide bands and we're up above the middle line. And it's a pretty tricky thing to find where it turns bullish right after this, actually. Usually it's coming back and retesting this line and loving it on it, or it's breaking below that line and then coming up. The thing is, we have a pretty wide band here, and when the band is wide, we're going sideways. So probably not a lot of answers out of this for the next bit, even if so let's zoom in. 12-hour time frame. It has crossed below the midline and coming in a narrow neck down to the bottom line. So brushing against the bottom line often is a buy signal, especially if we get the 12-hour brushing against the bottom line at the same time that the 4-hour is brushing against the bottom line. So we go into the 4-hour, there it is, brushing against the bottom line. Just as I was saying that earlier in the week, this was giving us, saying, don't sell out, hold on. Don't sell out yet, hold on. Because this didn't widen. It didn't widen and tell us to, get. Not yet. So if the top of this widens as we're pushing down, okay, now I'm starting to change my tune, but this is actually giving those bears that are long and holding a loss a little bit of hope, which is probably the worst thing to have, because then you're not using your risk control rules correctly. Now, if we go into the 1 hour time frame, I'm also observing now that the Bollinger Band comes right along the edge as it's moving. Anyway, it doesn't matter where it is. I don't care. I'm going to be watching it like crazy just to observe when does it pull away, and how do I know when this is, an actionable Bollinger Band signal here. So on the 1 hour, I'm going to zoom into the 15-minute time frame and see what it's doing. It's still kind of against, but it has pulled up a little bit. Right, we got these wicks, and then it's pulled up a little bit, giving us the first ability of any kind of 1, 2, 3 bottom. And again, it's below these levels, bouncing off of it and pulling back. So I'm not crazy bullish. I'm really just observing. Now, if I go into the 5-minute time frame, it did bounce off of this. It's pulling up to the midline, but failing on the midline, coming. Carl, you're a celebrity. Thanks for the subscribe. It's great to have you along. This is not confirming bullish for me. I wanted this to be up above the midline and holding steady here, just for any kind of bullish signal that would be opposite to what we're seeing in the MACD. That's what I'm really hunting for. Where do these diverge? Where are they different? Now, on the 1 minute time frame, this has been running up here, but it still gives me that bear flag feel. Bounce, come up in this trend. It feels like more down is incoming. So I'm super glad to go through and document all this, but the kind of freaky thing for me was the movement in Bitcoin dominance here. That I hadn't seen it, that it pulled back, but I saw that it had moved up very strongly. And if Bitcoin is dropping and Bitcoin dominance is rising, that means alts are dropping in US dollar value faster than Bitcoin. So Bitcoin's going down and alts are screaming down even faster if this is going up. So if Bitcoin's going down and Bitcoin dominance is going down, then alts are holding their own. But if this is coming up as Bitcoin goes down, alts are suffering even more. And we now have the Binance Bull Bear Index and the Poloniex Bull Bear Index set up on the website. These were both updated this morning by AOL Chandra and myself. So I updated the Poloniex spreadsheet this morning, and she's updated the Binance spreadsheet. And we can see that we're up to 21% in alerts, 17% in holds. We're on 18% in holds and only 6% in alerts over on Poloniex. So that we're at 59% of the coins are neutral here. 55% of the coins are neutral. Over the next few days, we really want to see if the neutral is decreasing and the near fails are increasing. We know that the alts are pulling back and it's serious. If the alerts are increasing from these neutrals, that's good for the bull market in the alts. But right now, we've come from a much greater percentage of holds. We were up to On Binance, we were up to over 70 different hold coins, and we've moved steadily back now to only holding 28 coins, and many of those are right at the edge of the 4-hour exponential moving average crossing over negative. So you can come back here and check this out every day. We'll do a review of this on a daily basis so that we can get a feel for what is coming up with the altcoins, because we want to be holding Bitcoin, or when it's appropriate, we want to fade into the altcoins in a diversified portfolio, and then of course pull back out of that if it's not taking off and going up. Let's jump into Bitcoin prices here now, and we can see that we have higher lows on the 10-second charts, but it's still inside that bear flag, and here we are getting a little bit more bearish action coming out of that. So this is an interesting chart. I like to take screenshots of the liquidations as they go by. I share them in our Discord chat. We can always talk about risk control because it's something that every trader has to be relearning and relearning and relearning all the time. Let me now check the chat. If you've got a coin you'd like me to take a look at, I can go over and bring up, I can go and search out a coin and we can take a quick look at it. I got yoga class coming up here, so I can't be too long, but let me go back to the chat and see. Smoke that. Hey, good to have you along, and thanks for your subscription the other day. I think BTC will do what it has done in 2017 and in 2013. It's going to break down from this triangle and then bounce to continue the bull trend. It could be, and it could be just a stop hunting run down to hit everybody and then rocket to the moon. And I've erred on that a few different times, and I'll let this pull itself up here. But there was one really good example. I'll go to Poloniex, Litecoin, 3-month view, clear this off, 1-year view. All the way through this run up of Litecoin, actually, I was watching all of these ascending wedge triangles, and I was super top formation dude every time. Watch for the top formation. Watch for the top formation. Here's our top formation. Look at it cracking down. So the ascending wedge triangles, they always look like hell all the way up. They are the worst to trade. They look terrible. They look terrible. They look terrible. They often look awful. And we probably had too many longs here. Everybody's super excited. Wreck them all and then blast to the moon. So all of us really got to be super careful, no matter if you're bullish or bearish. These are crazy markets. Risk control, risk control, risk control. Hey, Claudio. Good to have you along. Stephen. Retest 8,500. Let's go back to Bitcoin. With all of those longs, it does seem that a retest of the 8,500 would be perfect stop hunting and perfect technical retraces. So if we go into the 50% level of even just using those candles, the 50% level would just be a quick run back to here, not even threatening these prior lows and highs, just down to this level and then back up. This would certainly wreck a lot of the longs that are 10 times, 25 times leverage, 100 times leverage, you're already done. And then it would be all of our indicators then. All of the MACD should be turning positive. Everything should be giving us the wicked divergences, right? The price is down like this. Our RSI will be diverging. The MACD will be crossing positive. Everything will be giving us that rocket to the moon setup right there. And the 12-hour Bollinger Band should be back to the edge, and the 4-hour should be matching. Everything should be setting us up for a pocket right at that spot, if that's the case. And if it isn't, I am still watching for this to do its way up, as I was all the way along here. Oh, super excited. Oh, super excited. Oh, super excited. All the way down the pissing off the roof formation. It happens over and over again. So just to be on guard against what happened before, and we saw what happened, those indicators are all negative right now, and I would prefer to see them shifting a good bit. We may need to come back to these levels to see that shift. Yep, strong resistance at 9K, but don't forget the candle of 3K. This is That candle is the wake-up call for me. And I was bearish and pissing off the roof formation all the way along until that happened. And I was long. I identified this setup. The indicators were all great for me right here. I went long, put my stop above my entry and got kicked out. Went, oh, that's a drag. We're going down and I'm not ready for a short. I didn't do anything. I wasn't ready for a long on this, and it blasted off and I went, whoa, that is really like we saw April 1st. And I didn't pay enough attention to it April 1st. It came up, it fought around here, and then it worked its way up. So we are in that fight now. For me, I just can't help but pay attention to what happened there. Even though we could go for the rest of the month in November talking about this, that's still what I'm seeing as the main thing. And so when this comes back, I don't trust it. Even though it could come back, and I want to track it all so that I can have the case studies of what happened with the MACD, what happened with the Bollinger Band, how did the Ichimoku cloud react through this whole thing. Later, we can put this all together into another case study for trading that proves the efficacy of the 1, 2, 3 formation in combination with these indicators. Even though my opinion may be bullish, the indicators all go negative, I want to track that. So next time I see all the indicators going negative and I think I'm bullish, I know it's the perfect time to be going short, right? I put those things together. Everything that we're learning here is, I hope it's something you can put in your pocket and keep with you and learn and use over and over and over again, just like I am. I hope it turns into that edge that gets you from second place finish to first place finish, because we know second place finish gets like $5,000. First place finish gets $50,000. And all it took was a nose. All it took was that one bit of information that changed something in the way you were approaching it that can have a cascading effect into your future. So I hope that that happens for me, of course, and I hope it helps for you as well. So I really am excited about hearing your case studies, hearing your success stories. Even hearing your troubles and your failures is important for everybody in our community, because all of us learn. You don't have to lose all your money to learn lessons about losing all your money. It's important. Now, I'm going to sign off here quickly. I've got another presentation to do this afternoon on the other channel, and I invite you to go over and check it out and subscribe. It's a new format. We do 4 sections in it. We talk about money right off the start, something different than cryptocurrency channels. Then we're going to talk about what I can do to help you. Third, we go over 2 different cryptocurrencies in detail, like we do with Bitcoin here. And then finally, we end off with an overview of what I think is going to happen with the altcoins in the next short while. And I want to make that into a less than a 10-minute presentation and focused on the alts. Something a little different than we're doing here in the Bitcoin channel, but similar. So again, I appreciate you guys signing up here, being here at this time of the crazy morning. But I'm going to sign off and invite you all over to our Discord chat, because as this unfolds through the day, you know things are going to change from what I just talked about. And we will be going over it. We'll be doing screenshots. We'll talk about how this goes against our trading plan and the indicators. So hope to see you guys over there. Thanks again for tuning in. All the best in your Bitcoin trading today. Cheers.